Geneva Watch Days, I'm taking you on a journey to check out a ton of hands-on, ton of brands that you may not have even heard of, but should know about. Lots of info, lots of opinions. Let's get into it. So the glass box, as they call it, where majority of the brands actually have their own little stand. The watch I was physically seeing first was the Louis Vuitton watch. And the question that came up with a couple of guys that I met in Geneva was, is that watch a bit too gaudy? I will say this, the watch is gaudy, but at the same token, I'll say that I think it's meant to be gaudy. Would I want that watch? Absolutely. Gaudy, yes. For me, also yes. Zenith displayed their Zaytona in blue ceramic, the one that has the actual ceramic buckle, which we showed you guys during Watches and Wonders, but stay tuned, there were surprises from Zenith when we went to see them separately. We ended up missing Bulgari altogether, but I did get to see the Li Yufan collaboration. Rock and Mirror was the concept. Each case is hand finished in titanium and each finish is supposed to be different. This thing retails around 20 grand, which I felt was reasonable for what you get. I think it's conversation starter, so definitely A+ for that one. Of course, the new Octa Finissima skeleton, a white gold version of the interpretation of the Serpentine we saw at Watches and Wonders in rose gold. I still like the rose gold better. I feel the white is a little bit more subdued for a high-end jewelry watch.
Very nice, huh?
Oh, it's a great watch. Says the guy that has one on the wrist. I often take a couple of clients and friends with me along the journey, and it's cool to see my client and friend Josh having the same watch that was displayed by her work. They didn't show the new piece yet. It's coming out in a little bit. Can't talk about it quite yet. Different color combination of an existing watch. I think looks much better. We'll leave it at that. As I'm walking through the glass box, these guys grab me and say, Roman, let me show you something cool. Full working models that show off basic inner workings of a watch. To have it displayed and actually working in that fashion blew me away, and I just said, take my money.
The Mecha 01 is 2,900 Swiss francs, and the Push from the Winding collection is 1,200 Swiss francs.
So we are going to regulate a movement, and we're going to try to get it to cost standards. Now, all I had to do was take a Salida movement and adjust it. There was a machine that showed me everything, that all the readouts of the movement, how it's running, etc. And all I had to do is make 2 adjustments, and I messed up. I'm not a watchmaker. I understand how it works, but I would adjust it, I would see the numbers jump, and I would start adjusting it again without letting the machine actually read the movement. Josh, who came with me, my client and good friend, he got his done in like 60 seconds, and I was there for like 15, 20 minutes, and of course he's standing over me like, Roman, come on. But I can't be a watchmaker. Josh, look.
It took me 60 seconds.
It was such a cool experience, and I'm kind of glad that they did that because it sheds light to who they are. You get a whole new appreciation for watchmaking, and all I was doing is adjusting a watch. That was like the simplest task that one can do, and man, I feel like it was a miserable failure, and Josh till this day texts me like, hey, 60 seconds, what's up? So I had to make a stop by Ulysse Nardin to see my friend Matthew.
So the Freakex Crystallium is based on our, Freakex range, titanium, black version. So it's a second variation that we are doing with the Crystallium die.
This watch remind you of anything? Audemars Piguet, John Mayer? Well, there's a key difference here because they literally grow these crystals all together. I was so happy to put it on a black PVD watch because if that dial would be in a lighter material, be titanium or even a gold material, I don't think it would look as good. Put it in a Freakex to make it more affordable because if that would have gone into more complicated freaks, it would have been a lot more expensive. I did get preview of a couple of pieces that are coming down the pike. Again, I can't talk about them, but you guys will see them very soon. All these embargo pieces I'm talking about, you're gonna start seeing them over the next 2 to 3 months, so you don't have to wait long. Oh, wow. I can't tell you what it is. I can't show you what it is, but I can tell you, I can't wait for you to see what it is come October. One of the things you find during Geneva Watch Days is a lot of micro brands. Now, my friend Mayer catches me in the hallway. He's like, listen, we have a little presentation for you, right? And he's like, sign an NDA, gave me some kind of a badge to go upstairs, knock on the door 4 times. And let me tell you something, I felt like I was going into a room with some sort of a Soviet KGB interrogation. This is interesting.
Close the door behind you.
This is gonna be good. Talk about a flashback to my KGB days. If you guys are not familiar with the brand Amida, they came out with something new that is super secret. We literally had to put all our electronics down. I can't tell you what it is. I can't talk about it, but it's coming. Stay tuned. My suggestion is go to their website, sign up for their waiting list. I left my credit card in that room, just FYI. I do believe you'll be able to get the same experience at Watch Time in New York in October. I think I said it earlier, I did make it to where all the LVMH brands were displaying. And my first stop was at Tag Heuer. One of the things that stood out to me the most is the fact that they made a carbon spring. How the hell did they do it? I still don't know. I still have some more reading to do. Actually seeing that watch in person was pretty amazing. However, they also doubled up on their old Heuer moon pieces. I love the mechanics. I loved everything about it. Aesthetics, the jury is still out. Race world meets moon phase, space exploration. I guess what took me back is it wasn't like when I looked at it instantaneously, like I didn't say, oh my God, that's a Tag Heuer. When I looked at the carbon pieces, right away I said it's a Tag Heuer. So we moved on to Zenith, and what caught my eye, so I knew that they made something cool and colorful.
So the Geneva Watch Days for us is all about the collaboration we have done with USM. If you don't know the name, most probably you know the aesthetic of the furniture USM because it's everywhere since quite a while.
And you guys know me and my packaging. I wanted the whole set just because it came in that piece of furniture, literally with these drawers that come out. Strictly aesthetics, I think it's a fun take on watches, comparable to Rolex AP, but a little bit more rock and roll. I like them in every color. Collab that at first did not make sense to me started to make sense as soon as the guy explained it.
They are doing everything in ice. It's Swiss made. It's represent also Swiss excellencies. Even our founder, they look the same. They have a mustache, big hats. They really look the same. Both of them, the founder, built their house very close by to the manufacturer just to have a look at the manufacturer.
You always see me visit Le Pay. Le Pay was all about art this time around.
This has been made by an artist who has emphasized the like somehow the cartoon. You know, it's a pop art but with a cartoon aspect. Here we have another piece with Chris Alexander, known as the dial artist, that is right here, by the way.
Why don't you tell me about your own creation since you're here?
Oh, well, we wanted to kind of create something that reflected a personality in the car, and we wanted to have this crazy mashup of everything that was fun, exciting, street art.
The other car that I saw that was painted was going back to the principle of Le Pay, and some of the painted cars really depicted the fact that this car went through hell with oil spilling everywhere, because that was Formula One in the 50s and the 60s. And he really depicted a car that went through a race, a car that went through a tough race. Of course, then there was the Phoenix. You guys know me and enamel. I love enamel. That Phoenix was absolutely gorgeous. And it wasn't just a beautiful clock with the depiction of the Phoenix, right? It was also a double tourbillon, just mind you that. I think my favorite pick from there had to be the Black Skull. That skull with the diamond grill, sort of a different culture versus horology versus just, I don't know. It's one of those things where I picked it up, I'm like, I really, really, really like this. And the pricing couldn't be any more different. I think the skull was somewhere around 13 or 14,000, where the double tourbillon Phoenix was a lot more expensive, but there are levels to the stuff, right? J.N. Shapiro, one of the nominees, one of the finalists, I guess I should say, for the LVMH prize, an American, right? An American-made watch. The watch, his in-house movement watch goes for around $80,000. And of course, they're sold out because at best, they're able to produce, maybe 15 watches per year, maybe. And trust me when I tell you, the watch is well made. Would I want one? Yeah. Would I kind of call in and say like, hey, Josh, maybe you can put me in front of the line and get me one? No, I would not do that because it wouldn't be fair to other true collectors that want this stuff. And me, I resell watches, right? Wonderful watch. I can see why the watch was nominated. Both are done incredibly well. One is half price of the other, and neither one is readily available. Next up was Masena Lab. I know William. Sent him a DM when they announced the Vianney Halter collab. I'm a big Vianney Halter fan. It was recently priced at $37K, so I sent a deposit for that watch before I got to Geneva Watch Days. This is William. I'm standing here on camera talking about your watch and you're not even here. I'm with Alex now, and Alex did a beautiful presentation of the watch that I'm getting, and I'm not disappointed that I ordered it blind, because now that I see it in person, I'm even more happy.
I'm so happy you like it, Roman.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think you guys did a wonderful job. Alex did a wonderful presentation, and and you said mine is coming when? January?
Yeah, you'll be one of the first ones. I promise you that.
And I appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry I missed you, William, but I'll catch up with you later. Try the watch on. It's a large size, 42 millimeters. Unlike some of the other independents now, smaller production that is sticking to that 38, 39 millimeter sweet spot. And I like the fact that they used an old pocket watch movement. Didn't even wait to order it, and I was not disappointed. I made a video where I visited David at his atelier in the midst of a valley filled with cows and barely any roads. Another LVMH finalist for the DC6, which is a watch I was wearing. But it's cool to walk in with the prototype and then to see the one that's awarded. Of course, the new model that he came out with, he toned things down. Personal opinion, much cleaner look, still giving you the inclined tourbillon, still giving you the clickety-clack, as I like to call it, patent crown. I think without realizing, because of the blue dial set, gave me a little bit of DB Thune vibes. Titanium movements, which are hand finished, which is impossible to do. And the quality is still there. You guys comment below, let me know which you would choose. Would you go with the 6 or would you go with the 7? So my good friend and brother, Roy, from the Davidoff brothers, walks me over. He's like, do you know who that is? I'm like, oh my God, the guy looks super familiar. He's like, that's Emmanuel Guet. I'm like, holy shit. I get starstruck at these things, right? Emmanuel Guet did what? He designed my favorite watch in the world. He designed the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak offshore for the 20th anniversary of the Royal Oak back in 1992. But the reason I mention is one of the brands he designed and revived was Denison.
But when they approached me, I studied the story of the brand. It was created by an American guy who was living in Manchester, and the company stopped in the 60s. So when Toby bought the brand and all the gang started to want to make the brand live again, I thought it would be very interesting to restart when it stopped and restart with the 60 looks like.
We have a single time zone, and now you introduced a dual time zone.
Yes.
And basically there are the two shapes, right? So we have, this is more squared off, and if you compare the two,
it's a little bit wilder. It's like 2 millimeters wilder on the dual time compared to the first one. So we relaunched this one, the dual time, this week. So it's just the new presentation.
This is amazing. So Malachite, Tiger Eye, Lapis, what else?
Marble.
This is marble.
Bloodstone.
Bloodstone, and then I see an Aventurin dial here.
As well.
So when I found out that it was Emmanuel Guet behind those pieces, I asked Roy to say, hey, when the show is finished, please pick me up one of each, both the dual time and a single time. And of course, you do get value for the money there. You know, maybe not on the movement, but certainly you get a lot of value in the dials because they're using stone dials there. I like the product too, just because it's Emmanuel Guet. If I looked at the watch and I didn't think it was attractive, I probably wouldn't buy it. Post the video, we sit down, we talk for a few minutes. It was really nice to speak to a legendary figure in the watch space. I've been getting on some of the panels that Wei has put forth for Geneva Watch Days. And this year's panel, oh boy, was it controversial. Is watch journalism dead? And the argument was that I live in a world where every written piece of content that's out there by these major publications is paid for by the brands. So when you have major publications like Wei, like Hodinkee, among many, many others, they do get paid by the brands. Well, are you biased because you're getting paid by the brands? Yeah. Every symposium that Wei does is on their YouTube channel, so you'll be able to check out the full episode. Things got a bit heated, so definitely going to be a fun episode to watch. Brand you may have not heard of is Hautlence. It's a sister brand to Moser.
So here we have the Helix. We launched it in June.
Central tourbillon. Much different design. Probably not the first tourbillon you'll reach for. That central tourbillon with a double retrograde is 75,000 Swiss, which is reasonable in comparison to others. And then what are the other pieces that we have on the table?
The sphere. It's an hour indicator which turns 1.5 times around itself and changes 3 times the direction.
To me, to date, that's still the coolest Hautlence they've made thus far. Of course, what else do they release? They release the Wandering Hours. I feel like that's a complication that is just, it's as if everything else disappears and all you have in front of you is the Wandering Hours.
We were inspired by architecture because that's the core belief as well from Guillaume when he designed the watches.
It really punctuates the Wandering Hours complication in that case because of all that extra space that's left around the dial. So moving on to Moser, you guys already know this handsome face. And I've yet to handle the Formula One related watches in hand. Of course, you guys know me in Formula One, I'm a huge fan, so I'm gonna be biased anytime there's a Formula One watch that comes out. This is where you sort of tend to lose that appeal of, oh, wait a minute, high-end Swiss watchmaking, digital watch.
And
what's the retail price on these?
I think in US dollar, you're around 75.
75
as a package.
As a package. However, they did a smart thing. They paired it up with a tourbillon. So now you get a pair of watches, you get a set. You sort of don't feel like, oh, I just bought a watch that sort of cheapens the whole vibe or cheapens the flex, if you will, because digital things tend to do that in a high-end Swiss watch. Just look at Breitling and their combinations of digital watches and mechanical watches.
I don't know
And
the
was
price.
this a limited series or was
It's
this
a limited of 200 pieces.
200 pieces? 200 sets, technically.
200 sets.
Last time I showed Moser, they came out with a pop of color, if you remember. They doubled down and they came out with more colorful pieces.
We have the 42.3 millimeter here with the turquoise dial, with the Globalite orange on the side, so it glows in the dark. We have the tourbillon, which is the opposite. You have the orange in the center, or coral in the center, and turquoise outside in 40 millimeter. And we have the masterpiece, the cylindrical skeleton tourbillon, also with this color combination. Our entry level is around $15,000, so that would be the steel. DLC is slightly more, so probably around 17. Tourbillon would probably around the 70,000, and probably 90 to 100 in cylindrical tourbillon.
Accessible, reasonable for what you get. A very, I would say, affordable entry-level price on an independent brand, but aesthetically, extremely pleasing. And of course, I was not surprised to see a Wandering Hour complication from Moser as well. Remember, they are different companies, but they are sister companies under one roof. Of course, the perpetual calendar, which is the most minimal perpetual calendar out there. I dare you guys to show me another that's that minimal. And last but not least, they show me some things off camera, which are going to be announced soon, which I was very, very pleasantly surprised with. Pretty sure you guys will like what they did. Bida. Another nominee for LVMH prize. These guys are from Qatar. I hate to use the term micro brand, right? But smaller brand that is out there trying to make it. I simply like the way it looked. Is this a watch I'm going to order? Probably not. Again, sometimes it's not about the price, not about what's inside. It's about aesthetically, right? I've always said, buy what you like first and foremost, and this is one of those watches. I bumped into so many people during Geneva Watch Days. Gentlemen didn't want to be shown on camera. They were literally royal oak pinky rings that he made. They were working, they had little quartz moving them, and he made a bunch of them just for the sole purpose of giving them to people when he ran into them. Always bumping into people in the hallways, people always showing off their watches. This is what this venue is all about. I literally bumped into a GPHD nominee, the Christopher Ward watch in orange. My buddy Adam bought one and I asked him, what do you think? He also liked it. He's like, dude, I bought it because I like the way it looks, right? Sometimes it just comes down to that. Again, another one of those rooms I walk by and all of a sudden I'm like, Gaga Lab, why does that sound so familiar? And then I remember an old brand called Gaga Milano. And now they reintroduced themselves as Gaga Lab. The original guy that was the owner of Gaga Milano still is, and they created a watch called the Laboratic. So same watch, different color dials, beautifully executed. Again, it's really about design, price point around 4,000 Swiss, I believe. Again, one of those price point watches where horologically not God's gift to earth, but certainly a cool watch to own if you like the design language. Stopped by another brand I wasn't too familiar with, Speake Marin, to look at their purple monster, as I like to call it, or it's their tourbillon purple hour. What I did do is I took the watch, I looped the watch. I do like their signature placement of the tourbillon at 1:30. The expectation is to see the tourbillon obviously at 6 o'clock. I'm not sure about the purple. I do like the overall design. I like the layout of the dial. I like the way everything is done. Everything about the watch I loved except for the purple. Every time I look at an old purple watch, it just makes me think, is this gonna be watch number 1 of my collection or watch number 71 of my collection? Because purple is not for everybody. Fears is another company. I may have not been super impressed with the pieces, with the exception of the tank watch. I really like the tank watch, but I certainly was impressed with the story. Apparently this is a brand that ran, his great-grandfather started this brand and it ran all the way through to 1975, some 150 years, I think. This kid was in Rolex school to learn how to become a watchmaker, and his mother finally told him a story about this whole family legacy that they have in watchmaking. He went a completely different route, revived his brand, trying to revive his family legacy. Not the most expensive watches, not God's gift to horology, but some good design language there, specifically with the tank watch. Really like that one. Trilobe. It is a French brand, but there was stuff made in Switzerland. Now they finally are slowly but surely moving all their manufacture back to France, so it will be a truly French watch. Nuit Fantastique, or Fantastic Night was my pick. There was one that she showed me where they actually customize it to you. A special place, special event, whether you're getting engaged, married, whatever it might be, they will actually custom design the sky to fit the location of what that would look like in that very moment when you were there, which was kind of cool. Quality seemed to be there, on par in terms of their asking prices, which are very affordable. I felt like the other watch was a bit too busy for me. Nevertheless, I was happy to be introduced to that brand, and my pick from them was definitely be the Nuit Fantastique, or the Fantastic Night. Ferdinand Bertrude. It's unobtainium, you can get them. They make wonderful timepieces, and I was there to look at the handmade, the chain fusee driven, entirely made by hand. And I will tell you that Ferdinand Bertrude was not too far off of Greubel Forsey's handmade piece. I was extremely impressed with their entire lineup. Now, it's worth saying that this is owned by the Chopard family, and Chopard has a lot of money. So when I tell you no expense was spared to show the world how big their, what is, no expense was spared. Nevertheless, very impressive. Czapek, the one I was looking forward to seeing the most was the skeleton split-second chronograph. And they showed me the new model that came out. And at first I was like, whoa, I'm not sure about this one. Why? Because I saw a skull at 12 o'clock. And that skull, I'm like, what is this, Iron Man? And then I was sold only after they showed me that the skull was actually functional. It's when you stop the chronograph or reset it, is when the eyes turn red, as if the skull is getting mad that the chrono isn't running. Obviously an existing model, and they added that module on, so it's a mechanical thing, not a decorative thing. If it was just a decorative thing, I'd probably say, nah guys, I think pass. But the minute he showed me how it actually works and it is mechanical, that's when I was kind of sold. So let's talk about the gold models. What is the retail on the gold model?
So it's between 60 and 66,000. Those models are a bit special. They all are featuring stone dials.
Anytime you have a stone dial or any kind of exotic dial, it's cool. They took it to the next level. They took a meteorite dial and they painted it green. So it's a green meteorite dial. Obviously, meteorite doesn't naturally come in green. It's going to be a silver color. At first, I was, again, on the fence because I didn't even realize it was a meteorite dial. I thought it was an malachite dial because I saw it kind of from afar. When I looked at it closely and I saw how the meteorite plays in the light against the color, once again, I was sold. Way had a wonderful party alongside with Armin Strom because they were releasing his launch. They made a limited edition of 5 pieces of their Resonance GMT with hand-engraved gold dials. The watch itself was amazing.
The size is 38 millimeters.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
While I see the decoration, but no matter what, your eyes are still drawn to the Resonance. It's like you look at the watch and you get drawn back to the complication. But 5 pieces made, it's going to be very tough to pick up for whoever wants one of these pieces. Why so little?
Because the annual production is still very limited in Armin Strom when it comes to resonance watches. Still a young company. We are still in a growing period, so it takes time to get the team.
You're about 400 pieces per year production?
Yes, 460, yes.
But how many of those are Resonance?
It's 110 is resonance.
What Armin Strom did is they patented a thing where they created a bridge that makes them resonate almost instantly, which is why, in my opinion, I feel that's a better resonance than that of F. Journe. You guys can comment below on that, what your opinion is on that. But nevertheless, wonderful party, wonderful product. I'm a big fan of Armin Strom, just like their watches, both aesthetically and mechanically, especially their latest creations. Ran into my buddy Constant at the same party for Waco, and he showed me the Fa watches, specifically the Mobius 1. This is a very, very complicated watch. But the point I was trying to make earlier is that the line between Chinese made and other countries made is starting to get erased. Well, let's just be real. People look at things as Chinese made and they think, oh, it's some sort of a replica, it's cheaply made, it's cheap, and so on and so forth. Well, guess what? The watch is indeed very, very well made. First of all, this thing has a dual axis tourbillon, which rotates at 2 different speeds, 150 seconds and 60 seconds per axis. This is actually the first wristwatch in history to combine a jumping hour with dual retrograde hour and minute hands. He did tell me he can show me that there is a new version that's coming out that's going to be a bit thinner. It sticks up a bit, right? Because it's so thin and awkward this way, and it's 42 millimeters this way, and it sits at 13 millimeters almost, makes it a bit awkward. Maybe we'll write something about it as well if we get the new version. There were 3 manufacturer visits, and you know me, I like to go with unpopular opinions, so I went to visit Hublot, and you saw the shitstorm that created on social media, but stay tuned for that full video. I also went to visit Blancpain, another brand that you don't hear a lot of dealers mention often. And the last highlight was visiting Greubel Forsey on the last day that I was in Geneva. I was geeking out like you wouldn't believe because it was none other than Stephen Forsey. They gave me the full tour of the manufacturer. So stay tuned for those 3 videos. They'll be separately and it should be dropping soon. Other than that, guys, I appreciate you getting through this video. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.